Hey guys, Keith Taylor here from ArkhamEFX. Look, I don't do these that often. I spend a lot of time working on things for Arkham. For instance, these are the scratch builds. Got a snow speeder back there. Um, we do a lot of different stuff, and mostly commission work. But one thing that absolutely kills me lately, I've been watching these videos on YouTube, and this guy's doing a video. I'm not saying he's a bad guy, I'm just saying he's misinformed and he's spreading the wrong information. Chances are that some of the things he says are true, but if you don't do the homework, you can't say that. I decided to go back to college when I was in like 45 years old. And I got my degree in business, in management, in HR, administration, manufacturing, and marketing. And he's talking about McFarlane toys. Well, a lot of us collect these figures. And the statement that he made is that McFarlane got together with Walmart to decide what Walmart would sell something for. This is not how this works, okay? Prices go up on these toys for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, and the one go-to that they always say if they don't want to tell the truth, is it has to do with the cost of materials, the overhead of the manufacturing, the power, the lights, the phones, the internet, all these bills that they have to pay, and tool working. Now, that's another thing about these videos that really torque my wrench. Please stop using the word sculpt. Please. I sculpt for a living. I paint and I sculpt. It's the removal of material to make an image. None of this stuff is sculpted, people. None of it. It goes into a computer. The computer does it through a CAD service of some sort. They send that off to people who carve it out with computers and lasers out of steel. Injection molding plates. That's the tools. They go back to the manufacturer. They go in the injection molding machines. They take these little pellets of plastic, it melts it down, shoots it into the mold, cools it, and spits it out the other end. Someone at the other end starts taking a hobby knife and taking the flash off. All of that stuff is done that way. Now, hey guys, so that's how these things are made. They're not sculpted. And what really got me was when a guy was looking at a Hot Toys and he holds up a Darth Vader cape and says, "Oh, I love how they sculpted this cape." It's material. You can't sculpt material. So basically, this guy's saying that Walmart and McFarlane are getting together to decide prices. It's not how it works. I worked at Walmart years ago, and they pay a wholesale price per case. Now, back in the 90s, you could get a 3 3/4 inch Star Wars figure, and it cost you $8. Okay, but if you take this little thing, this little gun, they call it a Telzon, and you hit the SKU, and for those of y'all that don't know what SKU is, I'm talking about the little barcode on the back, and it tells you how much they paid per figure, per case, per unit. Walmart was paying 25 cents for each figure back then, in a case of 12, so it's a couple of dollars per case, and then they put their markup on it and they put it on the shelf. Walmart gets their markup by other popular stores, Target, all these other places. And at the time, Kmart was still running. And all these places like, well, that's what they're selling it for. That works in good with us. That's what we'll sell it for. McFarlane, Hasbro, none of these people tell Walmart what they need to sell these items for. They can put in a street date, and that's part of their contract to carry their items. In other words, when they put it on the peg. But they do have no say in what Walmart sells these for. If Walmart wanted to sell a Black Series figure for $2.99, they can do it. And they would still make good profit at that price because they didn't pay anything near that for it. So that's how this works. So I just, you know what? It's 101 week one in business school. How you market it, people buy with their eyes, they buy with nostalgia, and if the price is something that they're willing to come off of their wallet for to scratch that itch, they'll pay it. They will raise these things up every other month. So they'll do like how much they're selling. And Hasbro goes by this by how much the big box stores are buying. So if Walmart is buying like 2 or 3 warehouses full on, let's say, May 1st of 2025, and then by May 31st of 2025, they've already ordered 3 more times of the same. Hasbro knows this is a hot selling figure. So they will go and they will raise their wholesale price a little bit. Then Walmart in turn has to raise their price a little bit so they can stay in that profit margin. And then if Walmart says, hey, we can raise this a little bit higher, or Hasbro says, we can raise this a little bit higher, they keep doing it until that figure starts to slow down in its orders and how much it's selling for. That's how they do it. And in the meantime, they got their toy designers coming up with a new thing in the background. So when this slows down, instead of lowering the price back down to what it was selling for, they don't make it anymore. They throw it in the vault for a re-release or a repaint. And then there's other things that they're working on, they roll it out. And they play the same game until we stop buying them. Once we do that, that goes into a vault for a re-release and like a 4-pack, a 2-pack, a comic pack, what have you. And then they turn around and they put out the next thing. Then when everything else, or if they got a slowdown or they don't have the talented people in there doing all these new designs, then they'll go and they'll do a repaint or they'll re-release. Maybe 2 or 3 years later, and you change the packaging. What was in a single figure package, they'll put in with a comic book, or they'll put in with a coin, or they'll put in with a Build-A-Figure piece. And then they'll milk that until they don't make any money off of it. And then they just disappear and you never see them again. Now it's secondary market. It's where guys like gals like you and me will go out and pay $1,000 for a figure on a card. It's all driven by what you and I are willing to give up to own that piece of plastic. And when it all comes down to it, what do we really have? You know, it's a piece of plastic. In no way, shape, form, or fashion is any little tiny figure of a man worth that much money. It's just not there. It's all perceived up here. One of the things that I stopped doing years ago was I was no longer collecting figures because I got to the point to where the packaging meant so much more than what was inside it. And I had a ton of figures, y'all, a ton. And I was constantly stressed over a wrinkle or a rounded corner, or should I grade it, should I not grade it? That what was inside that packaging meant nothing. And that's a terrible hill to die on because paper is not going to last. If you watch the videos from Toy Federation with Ryan, he says that many times these things just weren't made to last. So at some point you're going to have it graded, archived, and or any of that guy. So these are the things that you just have to think about. Am I willing to live with my collection, or is my collection living with me? So then you get to a point to where your collecting changes, and that's cool. But of all the people that are watching and commenting, and I thank you for watching me, how many of you have been like, I gotta have it. You have it for 3-4 months, maybe a year or two, and you just start to fall out of love with it because something else has been released at Sideshow or Hot Toys, and you've got to have that new thing because everybody else has had it. Case in point, HasLab's Ghost or the Razor Crest. Where in the world of anything is that thing worth $400, $500, $600? And then after it's sold out and you can't get it anymore because you had FOMO, fear of missing out, do you go to eBay and pay somebody $1,000 for it or $1,600 for it? Hey, Cuddy. So It's just one of those things you got to stop and you got to think about it. What do you need more? So what I decided to do is I love to collect. And I'm not bad mouthing anybody out there that still collects that way. Collect what you like. Do what you love. I'm just putting something out there that's in my brain. I don't come on YouTube live that much. I don't run the channel that much anymore because it's so much work and I have other things. When we opened the books for commissions in April 1st, we do it every year. We run up through Halloween. And then we start attending shows or what have you. And then we sell a little online. But when we open the books, we're so swamped. This week, I have done so much painting. Polly's done so much printing. And we're thankful if you have an ArkhamEFX piece. Thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts. I came up with this thought in my mind. Why am I paying this much for a mass-produced piece that's just not worth that when I can make it myself and make it the way I think it looks better? And that's when we started doing that. Case in point, our life-size Yoda. One of our friends has a family member that works at Lucasfilm, or did work at Lucasfilm at one point. Our soft goods come from there. We don't do a lot of soft goods. But I reached out and I wanted to know, when they did the computer-generated Yoda, how tall was he? How much did he weigh? Well, we got back. He's 26 inches tall and he weighs 56 pounds. And when Polly printed this before he went on the pedestal, and I put him together before I started the painting and smoothing, and I just looked down at him and I was like, God, he's such a humongous badass. And he's so tiny. So then I had to figure out what size lightsaber. So I started looking at screenshots. And when he holds two hands on his lightsaber, how much of the hilt's at the top? How much is at the bottom? Elf sabers, which 89 Sabers is a part of that now. The 89 Sabers Yoda Grandmaster is different than the Elf Sabers. So he has an Elf Sabers. And as you can tell how it fits his hands is how you see it on screen. So that, to me, is a life-size lightsaber. It is installed with Profi. It's beautiful when it's lit up. He talks. In here I have a sound module on the back of this rock. There's like 4 or 5 things, and I have to go back through it and change one thing because it was like late at night and I uploaded the same sound file twice. So let's see. I think this is the double. So I thought, where am I going to get that? Who's going to make that? And if Hot Toys put it out or Sideshow put it out, what do you think they would charge me for that? You know, we do the raw kit. We'll do the raw kit with a printed saber. Of course, it's not going to have the Elf Saber because they're extremely hard to find and they're very expensive. But if we did the raw kit for you to put together and make your own base, it comes with a plastic base that is keyed into, but I wanted to do this because I wanted to be able to have him a certain way. Oh, gotta be careful with that lightsaber. I'm hitting helmets. The raw kit's about $800, and it's worth it. It's beautiful, great texturing. When we do 3D printing at ArkhamEFX, we don't use Amazon materials. We use professional materials, like the dragons. I went to the flea market yesterday. Guy had the same dragons that we print. It weighed nothing. Ours are a pound. So it's thick, heavy, good material. It's not heat proof, it's heat resistant. And we use the best printers on the market. Matter of fact, Polly just picked up a new bamboo. So I started Arkham with this adage. I'm in it for the love, but I'm not above the money. And that's how I see it, because I want everybody to be able to afford something nice, not just the rich guys, not just the guys with $30,000 in credit card debt, and every time they go to the mailbox, they got a new card in the mail. I don't want to do that, because a lot of those guys are the ones making videos now that they go to sell their hot toys, and they're not even making a third of what they paid for them. The market has fallen on hot toys. And me personally, I own one hot toy, and I got it in a trade. I've got $50 in that hot toy, and it's Boba Fett on the Throne Deluxe. I have two sideshows, a Vader and an Obi-Wan Mythos. That's it. And out of 6-inch figures, I probably got 12. All out of the package. Over here was, I thought, okay, a Black Series snow speeder, right? So we picked this up. We put Luke in. Dak is in there. We did some more weathering. I got his lightsaber laying here because I didn't want to lose it. And a piece that broke off of a Christmas ornament. But down here, we found somebody to do our thing. Now, these are studio scale, believe it or not. And there are several studio scales. And the guy I bought it from sent me a Wedge Antilles. I don't know where I'm going to put him. Over here is a Death Star run I did with a Bandai. I want to say it's a 134 scale X-Wing and a Hot Wheels. So check this out. Let me get it. So there you have an exploding TIE fighter that was on his tail. This is all scratch built. This is the kind of work that we do. Turn that off. We do all kinds of helmets. Up here I've done a Clone Commando. I don't have it turned on right now. Underneath is a power recharge pack. This lights up blue. This is a repaint of Black Series. This is a resin cast. This is a repaint of a resin cast. Repaint of a resin cast. I did not touch these Black Series helmets. This is the original, not the re-release. These are repainted Trapper Wolves that I did. There's a bomber helmet. You know who that guy is. And I figured Trapper, might as well have Trapper. But I redid the weathering. Over here, we have a pencil drawing that my sons got me at Comic-Con. Beautiful piece. This is our Paz Vizsla. This is a 3D print. This is our Armorer. That's a 3D print. Black Series, and to me, quite arguably, the best Black Series they ever came out with, Boba Fett. This is ours off of the Gunny file. We bought the file and 3D printed. I can't remember the name of the designer. And there we have, God, I'm like so lost about Sabine Wren. That's a Black Series. And then this is a Mandalorian that's been redone. This is an actual real tack light of 500 lumens. This was rescued from my hometown theater when it closed. It was in a desk drawer. We got a tear in the corner, small tear there. But this is the original marquee poster from Revenge of the Sith. This is the battle damaged Vader. Down below is the bust, Revan, repainted. And here is our bust. So he can be done either wearing the clean helmet or the damaged helmet, and underneath here is our custom painted, 3D printed Hayden Christensen portrait. So, yeah. I got a lot of dust in here. Here is an A-Wing, a 1995 complete A-Wing that I did in a Hoth maintenance bay. There is a 95 snow speeder from Kenner. Actually, that's Kenner too. This is my set Obi-Wan. I weathered that one. Then we've got the Luke set was given to him by Obi-Wan, and we have Luke's. The most expensive lightsaber that I own. This is the Anakin Skywalker from Revenge of the Sith. I got some hair coming off this butt head right here. I gotta come here and blow this out every other day. But this one has the exposed crystal chamber, and it is one of 1,500, I think. It's 906 of 200. No, 106 of 200. So only 200 of those were made. And that's, of course, that's by far not all of the stuff I have. But I'm in a small apartment. So I have decided that I was going to do studio scale models, lightsabers, blasters. We did Paz Vizsla's tri-barrel blaster. We can do his backpack, his armor. You name it, we can do it. And that's why I decided that I wanted my collection to grow up, to be props and stuff like that. But I guess that's the end of it, rant-wise. I mean, because I just get tired of the overuse and the wrong use of the word sculpt. Because I'm a sculptor, and you're taking away from people who actually sculpt when you call that stuff sculpting. And a lot of this craziness in these prices, it's what you're willing to pay. If you stop paying it, the prices will go down. And the reason you're not seeing a refresh of Star Wars figures in your Walmarts and your Targets is because Target is not playing the game anymore. When Walmart and Target have to put an X amount of percentage of what they have on clearance, or if Walmart has to send it back to Bentonville so it can be negotiated to go to Ollie's, then the people like me that work for Walmart, we look at the bottom line of what we're selling, and it's just not worth us paying the price per case. We're not making the money off the end of it by selling it to the public, so therefore, why do we want to go spend money on a case of figures that Hasbro has artificially inflated because they're greedy? And HasLab is simply because Hasbro is starting to watch these videos and seeing what people like Ryan at Toy Federation is paying and what he's selling items for, and all these other toy stores and all these conventions, and they're like, why aren't we making that money? So they immediately start HasLab, and they do these Kickstarters where you pay $300 for a Razor Crest and you don't get it for 2 years. And now they're getting in trouble because the tariffs are supposedly hurting them. Folks, the tariffs are nothing but my dog ate my homework excuse from Hasbro. That's all it is. Hasbro does not care about your love for Star Wars. They do not care about your need for nostalgia. All they see is dollar signs. They don't care if you buy it or not. Well, they do. But their selling points are so high, they don't need to make you happy. They don't care if you would like to see this character in a figure, that character in a figure. They just don't care. So at what point do we as collectors draw a line in the sand and say this far, no further? That's a question you have to ask yourself. I decided where I drew my line in the sand. And at first, I got to be honest with you, it kind of hurt my feelings to get rid of some of those figures that I had on card. It really did. But time heals all wounds. And now I have trained myself to let go of that which I fear to lose. May the force be with you. God loved you enough to die for you. Love him back just a little bit. Y'all have a wonderful day. Love each other. Be good, kind human beings. And keep on collecting. May the force be with you. I'm Keith Taylor with ArkhamEFX. We are the granters of wishes. We're the builders of dreams. How do I turn this thing off? Woo!